All right, guys, it's time for the Next Level Guy Show, a men's interview, interest, and improvement-focused podcast featuring interviews with the greats from all industries to help you better your life. Each week, a new episode features an interview with one of the greats, covering all aspects of their story, from life hacks to tips and protocols that have allowed them to live life on the next level. We then highlight concrete action steps that you can use to improve your life. And now, your host, Ian Dawson Mackay.
And today's guest is Tori Boggs. Tori is a 31-time Grand World Jump Rope champion, multiple-time US National Speed and Power record holder, captain of Team USA, and current triple unders world record holder. She has over 1 million followers across her social media platforms. She's performed on shows like The Ellen DeGeneres Show, ESPN, Robin Mead's Morning Express, NBA Halftimes, TEDx events, and on TV shows like America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, and Italia's Got Talent, to name but a few. Tori is a performing artist and choreographer with companies such as Flip Fabrique, Cirque du Soleil, and in theatres across the globe. For over 20 years, she has travelled the world competing, teaching, and performing jump rope in over 30 countries. She has a passion for using the rope in unique and creative ways to inspire others to be healthy, active, and vital in every aspect of life, and encouraging a positive outlook and purposeful attitude. But before we get to the interview, please check out www.nextlevelguy.com/affiliates. There you'll find some amazing deals I've made with fabulous companies. You'll find deals like how to level up your skill set with a masterclass, an online platform that has over 150 experts teaching you how to become like them. Find out how on it are utilising their cognitive enhancing alpha brain to help you think more fluid, make better decisions, and how you can find the massage gun that I am raving about. It's helping me get back into physical activity and not limp around the next day like I've shat myself. It helps my aching pains and gets those tight muscles to hell. So for all these amazing deals like these and more, please go to www.nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and level up. And now let's get to the interview. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Now, you're one of my favourite people to follow on Facebook, on Instagram. I still can't figure out how you do it, but for people who maybe don't recognise your name, could you give a quick introduction?
Yes, my name is Tori Boggs. I am from the USA, and I am a jump roper. That is literally my job now, which is amazing because I get to do what I love as a job, so I couldn't ask for anything more.
Well, I was going to say a sort of sadist with a skipping rope because you're always smiling when I stop after 30 seconds. I can barely go anymore. You know, you do these amazing tricks like back flips and stand on your hands and jumping with fire ropes and things like that. But what was the inspiration to get into this? You know, we always see skipping in the UK as the boxers doing it, or it's part of a kid's game. Apologies. But how do you take it and turn it into jump rope, which is its own complete entity? It's the special activity that you do these because you go on amazing shows, you compete in these amazing places. What got you into jump rope?
Yeah, I first saw jump rope when I was 5 years old, and I saw jump rope as a sport. So it's an entire sport. There's an entire world. We're actually an observational sport with the Olympics. So there's a whole community of this jump rope world, more than just the skipping that you might see in the gym or on playgrounds, which is pretty cool. So I was lucky enough to be growing up where there's a jump rope team that's competitive and got into competitions that way. And so I grew up competing, went to all the different levels. I still compete. But, you know, there's so much creativity in jump rope. There's so much, you know, room for new ideas and innovations. And that's really where it can get. Just the variety is so incredible, whether it's, you know, performance or just creating new skills that keep you fit. There's all types of different avenues that the jump rope can take you. So it's been really fun to be able to explore all of these different things as I've grown with my rope.
Because that's what I loved about it. Like I would say, I'm interviewing somebody and they would go, "Oh, that's skipping." And I'm like, "No, no, no, no. You have to see it." And then as soon as they saw it, they were like, "Whoa, this is amazing." And if you watch some of your highlight videos or your like competition video, you go, "Right, that's so class. I've got to get this person on." And what was it that made you go, "Okay, this is just more than a hobby. This is more than a passion. This is
Mm.
something I can make a brand. This is something I can make a career out of."
Yeah, I think it just kind of developed this way. Like I've loved jump rope forever. I just, as I was a kid, I was always doing it. I was looking for more ways to jump. I was always competing. After school, before school, weekends, it became jump rope. It's what I absolutely love to do.
Mhm.
So as I got older, I went to college. I did the whole university thing, and I was still finding ways to jump rope and incorporate that into my life. So it just kind of continues building, and you find a way to keep doing what you love. And there was never like okay, now I'm going to make this a profession. It was really like I was just exploring different ways to continue studying what I was studying, but be able to
Mhm.
do what I love to do in addition to that. And it just really kind of built and developed. And then during the pandemic, this was a really big moment where I was already performing with my rope. But there's a new avenue, social media, where people could connect in kind of a different way than what I had been doing. And that was really exciting because then I found a way to reach more people. Because a lot of people, you're right, you don't know jump rope until you see it. So how can we get more people to see this incredible activity, more people to be inspired to pick up a rope, and it can change their lives in different ways as well. So always growing and developing new avenues.
Because that's what I love about it is that you're not just a champion, you're not just somebody who makes YouTube videos, you're an ambassador to the sport. You go and showcase this on talk shows, you go and show it in schools, and you take it like worldwide, and as well as competing. I think was it 32 times world champion now?
Yeah, 31, but yeah, let's
Well,
try for
soon to be
32.
30. I mean, you are the sort of global icon for that, like for the sport, and that's what I love about it. It's a sport, but you can make it a hobby, you can make it a fitness endeavor, and like you're saying, you until you see it, you don't understand it, but you become an immediate fan when you see it. But did you get any sort of pushback from teachers, family, friends to kind of say, no, 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 don't go down that road, don't go down the YouTube road, come and do a safe job? Because you've nailed it. I mean, you've become like symbolic with jump rope. But was there any pushback at any point?
Yes, I mean there's always going to be that. I think kind of no matter what you do, you'll always kind of find that. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I don't hear those people. Maybe I hear them, but
Good
I don't
choice.
really listen. I don't really listen to it. So those kind of things don't really bother me too much because I'm just gonna find ways to keep doing what I love to do. And as long as I'm still happy and finding that joy, and a lot of joy comes from introducing that to other people and seeing the joy that they get from the activity. So there are different avenues that kind of keep me going, whether it's the opportunity to create new things in a show or even just make a new video that can bring a smile to somebody's day. Um, there's always something new, and I think that's what's really so compelling is that I'm not doing the same thing over and over again, and I can't possibly imagine doing a desk job all day because I have to be jumping up and down and moving around. So yeah, there was kind of the pushback of like go for the safety, but I think that's really hard to do when you're doing what you love.
Because that was something I loved about it was like in this podcast, I love to introduce people to maybe people they've never seen before or activities before. And when I seen what you do, I thought this is going to help so many people. It's going to encourage people who don't want to play team games, but they want to get into a sport and have fun
Mm-hmm.
with it. And like people who have maybe done gymnastics at a certain age and then think, oh, I can't go further, and they're like, oh, here's a rope going up. And there's competitions. There's so much amazing things you do. All these sort of great presentations and stuff. And I think that's the beauty of it is you're not just a competitor. You're an ambassador. You're changing people's lives. You've made me a fan of it. I can't do half. I couldn't even figure out how to do half the tricks you do, but I'm desperate to start learning. So for somebody who's a complete newbie, how would we even go about it? Is it just a case of buying a rope and trying to just get a bit more movement about? Like, what advice would you give to a complete newbie who's picking up a rope for the first time? Hopefully, one of your torque ropes, but
Yeah. Ooh, thanks for the plug. Yeah, pretty much just start there. Just get a rope. fortunately, jump rope is a really inexpensive activity. You literally just need this one piece of equipment. So it's quite accessible when you compare it to a number of other things that you could be doing. So really just grab a rope, and I like to just tell people, start to move it around, start to play around with it, and then look for you can always look to my pages for tutorials of proper rope sizing and basic things that you can just start doing from the very beginning and going from there. A lot of times what happens is people will pick up a jump rope and they're trying like a double under or something. Everybody knows what a double under is. Everyone's heard of a double under, a cross even. But there's so many other skills that progressively come before these ones. So people will start with a skill that they're just not ready for. And then they aren't able to do it because, of course, they need to progress through and really learn the proper ways of jump rope. And then they get frustrated and say they can't jump, when it really had nothing to do with their actual ability. They just need to learn proper technique. They need to have the right size jump rope. So grab that rope, go through my tutorials of how to properly adjust the size of your jump rope, what the basic technique points are for just starting on a basic jump and swinging the rope around, and then have fun with it.
Because that's what I really liked about your YouTube channel. You've got like a video on exercises to build up your body to get able to jump, to get used to the impact, how to recover from it. But then you've also got like the footwork videos, the tricks. Now I'm going to butcher some of the names, but we've got the mic release, the splits, the bubble, the kamikaze, the back tack, the TJ, the Webster, is it the Jommy? And the Terminator. Yeah. And I just love like how you can end there and go, yeah, you do that, flick that. And I was actually following some of your videos and I was going, I can actually do that. Like you have such a great way of teaching this, and you really, it's a smile, it's enthusiasm you put into this. So how do we start thinking, okay, I'm going to make this a workout? Would it be a case of just getting used to skipping again, having a bit of fun with the rope? Because I like how you have your different styles of ropes. You have the ones that are a bit slower. Then you have the wire ropes. Then you have ones with different angle handles and stuff. Is it just to simply encourage people to get on the rope and then try, boxer steps, double jumps, just have fun with it? Do you think?
Yeah, for sure. It's about having fun. I think that's always at the forefront. Everyone comes in with their specific goals in mind too. I think most people picking up a jump rope, their goal is fitness, and it can develop into something more. So as they learn new skills or they learn, how to move the rope and work on that control, they end up really starting to love it because they see that creative part. But I think for the most part, it starts as a fitness component. So yeah, you can just start learning, like I said, the basics and building into it. And don't overdo it at the beginning, because jump rope is one of those things where you don't really realize that you're maybe overdoing it when you first start, especially if you're getting a jump successfully. You're like, okay, I got to go for 10 minutes. It's like, wait, your first day, that's actually really a lot. And so we want to make sure that we're preventing injuries and kind of building into it. It's almost like learning how to read and immediately reading a book, right? So you kind of want to go page by page, then chapter by chapter. And it's really quite the same in jump rope. So when you're first starting out, I would say stick to, 30 seconds at a time. Don't go really too much more than that. Don't do 10 minutes of solid jump rope when you're first going. Maybe just do 3 to 5 sets of 30 seconds. And then, slowly take a day off and then come back into it and build into it until you're kind of going into that goal of whether it's fitness or learning new skills.
Because that's the great thing about it, was you were mentioning that you have to build up your tendons, you have to build up your structural frame to get used to it. Because, you can be like, I'm 6'3". Oh, there's going to be a big impact on the knees. There's going to be a big impact on like the bulk of me landing. And I like that you remember to cover those sorts of things. And, when you're learning a new trick, the rope seems to spin at God-foreseen speed. How do you even slow it down to make the rope turn automatic, but also see yourself from a higher level so you can understand what your body's doing, so you can bring your leg in and not just tie yourself up in midair? Is there a way? Is there a good way of learning this to like slow it down? Do you use like these practice ropes that you very, very affordably advertise on your website?
Thank you, torqueropes.com. So I always tell people to start out with a beaded rope, because it gives you a lot of feedback. You have the visual feedback of the colorful beads. They're a bit thicker in the rope. You have that auditory feedback when the beads hit the ground or even as they kind of fly past your ears. You have that tangible feedback because there's a bit of weight on that rope, But I never really encourage weighted ropes unless you're just trying to build muscle or just do regular jumps. I don't encourage weighted ropes because they really change the technique. And when it comes to jump rope, you're doing so many jumps. So that's an opportunity to develop technique quite quickly. But the hard part of that is that you can develop bad habits very easily as well. So from the front end, that's why I really encourage people to go the tutorials first. Just get that basic jump rope technique. Go into those arm swings where you're not even jumping over the rope yet. You're just working on swinging your arm. I know it sounds so basic, but there's really important technique points that you can just hit from the beginning so that all those hundreds of jumps that are going to follow are going to be on point instead of developing those bad habits. And that's where that, control and efficiency comes in, especially like you're saying, like the impact, especially if someone may be taller, is going to be more than someone shorter. But it's really about the technique. So if you're jumping super high and you have poor landing form, that jump is a lot detrimental versus if you have the proper form, you're landing light and low, your body is only benefiting from this activity versus becoming injured. So really work on those technique points from the very beginning to get off to a really nice start into whatever avenue you decide to do when you have that rope in your hand.
I love it. I mean, because in your videos you like while you're doing your collaborations with other sports players, etc.
Yeah.
Like Holly Holmes, you'll show her like when the rope's here, and you just a visual cue, and you'll give people sensory feedback to what to look out for, and you're like, I see what you mean. And you just have a bit play with it, and you're okay. And you do slowly build up the skills. But has there been a trick that you've really struggled with that's really kind of grinded at you and you've managed it? What did you learn about learning and skill development at that stage?
Yeah, I mean, there's tricks that have taken me years to get. And a lot of that is just jump rope is so progressive. So I probably wasn't ready to learn this skill. I had other things that I needed to learn or to build before doing that. And of course, also jump rope has such a variety of movements. So you don't have to have a ton of upper body strength to be able to jump. But then we have moves that do require that. So it's not every move, but there are specialized moves. And so I think a lot of those specialty moves, whenever you try to create or make something new, those can really take a long time, especially if they haven't been done before, because you have to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to strengthen or practice or build into to be able to do this skill? So I've definitely had skills that have taken me many, many years or even to kind of come up with took me a lot of years. So there's like the Terminator, I do a backward roll and I push into a handstand. So I'm upside down.
As you do.
I go, just casually. No, I push up into a handstand. And I had always done this skill even when I was little. And so I tried to make this point of like making a signature skill. So I always do this in a routine, but each year I make it a little different. I make it a little more difficult. So I'll push up and I'll come out in a cross. So my arms are like this. I'll push out and then I'll go back onto my hand. So trying to make it different. And so it kind of developed into this thing where I was like, okay, I started pushing up and going onto one arm. I was like, how can I create a different skill here? So I played around with like, if I put the handle behind my knee and I grab it with my knee, what can I do with that? So I can push up with one arm, I grab the rope and come. So that skill I could not have done at all, like right off the bat. It took really a lot of development and strengthening in that skill of being able to do that. And so really, this is the really cool thing about jump rope is that there's all these little skills that add together. So you can have all of these little wins, these little progressions that kind of add into being able to do this bigger skill and then a bigger skill and then making it more difficult, putting it into a sequence. There's really just no ceiling when it comes to like what you can create and come up with. And the other special thing is that everyone kind of has their own style. So how I do the skill can be really different from how you might do the skill. And this is really, really cool thing. Or how you combine skills might be different from how the next person will put skills back to back. So everyone kind of has their own style, their own like kind of language or way of speaking jump rope rather.
I love it. I love the passion as well. I've interviewed Viola Brand, who is Viola loves cycling, and she does artistic cycling, and it's like that. It's you can put your own skill, your own kind of flavor, your own personal touch to it. The tricks are your own style. So how do you start creating a routine? How do you take such creative, like, because to some people it might seem a series of moves, but you make this kind of beautiful like scene of flow. It's almost like you're talking through the tricks you're doing. Where
Oh,
does that
that's nice.
creativity come from, and how do you start creating it? Because the things you do from on Ellen to all
Mhm.
these like competition shows is completely different to the halftime shows you give. And
Yeah.
how do you talk to your audience, if in a weird way of saying it?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a it's there's a lot of complexity there. So for one thing, it's taken so much practice to get to that point of being able just to know the rope, to know, how I'm going to move the rope, like the things that I want to do. Years and years of practice and mini movements and experimenting with different jumps. For sure, that's a huge part of it. Um, I feel like if I'm gonna kind of present jump rope to someone, I'm thinking about what I want them to see from what I'm about to do. So in a competition, it's going to be quite different. Like you said, like in a competition, you have very specific amount of time to do your hardest skills as perfect as possible, with the best technique you possibly can. So how I'm approaching that is quite different from how I'm approaching a group of kids who I want to hopefully inspire or encourage them to pick up a rope. I'm going to do things that maybe they can relate better to. Like they probably can't relate to me having the rope go 4 times around myself, landing on my hands, the crossed in a funky way. Like it's really cool, but there's so many technicalities there that might not get caught in the competition versus when you're in a performance or a show where I get to really kind of bring this fun style to jump rope so that people also are feeling that fun, that enjoyment whenever I'm doing it. So that's kind of how I start to approach doing different routines for different things. I have, of course, my favorite skills that I always love to do. Like I love to flip, so I love back flips. I love front flips. I love this type of power movement and acrobatics. So I always want to try to get those in there if I can. And then I think people can see them because jump rope moves so quickly. So a skill isn't even a second long. You can do like 4 skills in 1 second, and so it's quite difficult to catch. But I like doing the acrobatics because I think people can really see what's going on with the rope and with my body. But yeah, and then music is another huge component of that, like feeling the song and the style that's there and creating my movements to also go with the song that's being played or that I get to choreograph to. And I really love this component. Choreography is one of my favorite things. So being able to decide the direction of where this is going to go is also a huge part of that creation.
Because I love that answer. I mean, I love the fun that you have while you're doing it, and you can see these kind of like it's all well thought out, and it's like
Mm.
that your TikToks where you backflip, and you're doing all these like little speed bursts, and then it's like different tricks, and people are commenting, and then you're making videos of that, so you're having fun as well. So you're
Yeah.
having this enjoyment from it. Where does the like when you're doing it? It does seem insane the way you can control your breath and smile through it all. I
Mm.
breathe out my arse when I'm doing my jiu-jitsu warm-ups. How on earth do you keep are you taught to I've used box breathing, where you count to 4 or hold the breath, count to 4, etc. For stress. How do you learn to breathe initially to get to the point you can actually skip for this long? Never mind throw tricks and backflips
Yeah.
and all that.
Well, I really go back to that practice component. Right? I've done it for a long time, and there are times when maybe I've had to take a break from an injury, and I come back and I am out of breath. And there's some videos where I'm really working really hard on the sequence because it's not quite efficient when I do it at the beginning. It's a new sequence. My body's still getting used to the order of the movements or what I'm trying to do. So I also go through this phase where it's not easy, it's not difficult, and my goal is hopefully to make a video where you can't see all of that process. But then I love to post. I have a few fail videos on my page, and hopefully that gives the viewers a little bit of insight into like my journey to get the video, because believe me, I go through loads of failures, and I actually really enjoy this part of the process because I learn so much. And each video, I feel like every single video I've made on my page, I have a story for this, or I know the journey that I went through to make this really small creation, but something that like is really special to me.
Because when you're doing things like jumping over in a fire rope, and or you're like doing all these sort of insane challenges and stuff like that, you're learning how to also be a showman as well. You're learning how to portray a character up on the stage. Do you think these kind of things work? On these shows like Ellen and all that, has that made you a better jump roper because it's given you more of a sense of style as much as learning just tricks? You can now, I don't
Oh
want to say
yeah.
showwomanship, sorry, a bit more to it.
Yeah. So showwomanship. Love it. Yes, for sure. That's a really great observation. I did grow up competing, and that once again, that's a very different world. We're not really we want to make skills look presentable and technically correct, but that's a very different type of jump rope. So as I've gotten more into performances and have developed that part of my craft, it's been really wonderful to be able to experiment with different ways to portray the activity that I'm doing, or bring out my character or whatever it is that I'm in the show at the time, trying to display. And this is really, really fun for me because it's not just jump rope at that point. It's bringing in this whole other component of things, and then doing it with what I love to do. So definitely there is a whole other side to that presentation aspect and being able to really present what I'm doing. And it's really fun. Like, I really love this part.
So while you're creating and you're doing these amazing things, what else do you do to become the athlete that you are, to become the awesome ambassador that you are? Do you, because you seem to utilize sort of dance through your jumping as well. You've got a video about your exercises that you do with and without the rope to build and warm up. What else goes into, like, do you have a range of skills for hand-eye coordination? Do you do gymnastics, skipping, dancing?
Okay.
What else makes you you?
Yeah, predominantly I jump rope. I spend a lot of time with the rope because that's really where my joy is coming from. I did grow up developing gymnastics and acrobatic skills. I didn't grow up dancing, but I really have found that I love to dance and have gotten to do this in a lot of shows. And so being able to bring that component in, now that I feel like I can kind of call myself more of a dancer, has been really fun. So looking for inspiration from dance is a huge part of it now as well. And that's also a new component to jump rope, because you wouldn't really see this in competition. We don't really score skills like that. So it's kind of created a new avenue of using the rope or these dance skills. So that's definitely another thing that you can do with the rope. That's an activity that I like to do. Music is also a really big one. So like, I grew up playing the piano. I learned the banjo as well, tiny bit of violin. I really love music and feeling that music and trying to bring that through with my jump rope as well, because to me the jump rope is like an instrument. So it's kind of going along with the songs and that type of thing. So those are all really places I find inspiration and pull from to create.
I love it. You're using it as you're a multifaceted star. You're using the jump rope as a sort of tool to express yourself. I love that kind of approach.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have always gone down this road? Would you have competed as much because you got into it originally, and your mom was interested, and she not a judge, and she had taken you to competitions, and she always, the camera pans to her and some of your challenges, and you can just see how proud of you she is. Would you think you were always going to go down this road, or did your mom being sort of involved help you, do you think?
My mom is awesome and is super supportive, and she was always there.
Looks it.
Yes, my whole family is. But she was always there to help me with kind of whatever I was needing, as long as she saw me put in the work, which is a really great way to approach things. So she saw how much I love jump rope, and so she started getting involved as far as learning how to coach and judge, and she kind of developed into the sport in that way. And then she also fell in love with the sport, so she became a coach of. I was graduated, and she is continuing to be a coach to help the next generation. And I think this is really, really wonderful that she has all of these skills that she even learned as far as coaching and sharing the sport, and she can do that. And now she's also the co-secretary general of our international federation.
Awesome.
So she works to help. Yeah, she's awesome. She works to help other countries grow. And this is so cool, because that means that my mom and I have really grown up in the sport of jump rope together. She's using her strength and I'm getting to use mine as well. So I think it's always been something that we've shared. Like we got to travel the world together, and this was really special. So the rope has kind of always connected us in that way. Yeah, and so my mom is also part of the jump rope life.
I love that. I mean, it's when I've seen like how involved she had become. I was like, that shows somebody like it's a passion that you can share. And I love how
Mhm.
when you look at your comments on YouTube, people are saying, "I started skipping. I started
Yeah.
jump roping because of you. I started competing. I've given it a shot because of you." And to see you inspiring the next generation and inspiring the current ones, and your mom's getting involved, it's fantastic the level that you're going to. But how would you have a preference to doing the shows that you're doing compared to competing? Will competing always be your first
Oh,
love?
that's a hard question. I mean, I've always had that competitive spirit, and I love that challenge for myself, really. But I think it's a different type of love that's come with the performing part. Like I also find that challenge for myself to create something new or something different, or I have an idea that I really want to fulfill. So
Mhm.
finding how to make that happen, and that relates a lot to the competitive side actually. Like I really wanted to beat my personal record. I really wanted to get these skills to have in competition this year. So I actually feel that through the performance side as well, and making these new creations. But I think the most important thing, and this really comes with sharing the sport, is when you see a child pick up a jump rope for the first time, and they get a skill and they're so happy. I think this is like really kind of what keeps you going. And so I feel this on stage, when I'm performing, and I am trying to express that joy and bring that to the audience. And when I can see that, that's really a moment that I strive for, with each jump that I'm taking. So these are really important moments, because when I'm really tired, maybe we're at the last show of the week, it's during the holidays, so we're performing so much. I'm always thinking about, okay, there's somebody in the audience who has never seen this, or I have this responsibility to bring a really positive light to jump rope, or give them a positive experience with that. And so that really kind of keeps me going, even um, when things are feeling extra hard or extra challenging. So I think there's just this mix of that kind of competitive spirit that's always in me, and being able to bring that into the performance side. And I really find kind of the best of both worlds in that.
It's really hard not to smile along with you because just you're so passionate about it, and it's like, it once you see you in a competition, you're like, or like one of your presentations, you're like, this is amazing, and I want to give
Yeah.
this a shot, and you can see the wee kids picking up the ropes, desperate to give it a go as well, and it must be so like fulfilling to see the impact you have on other
Oh
people.
yeah.
But when I mean, we noticed the competitiveness, when I think it was at the triple under challenge,
Yeah.
and you had chased that record and you didn't get it, so you went back hard for it, got the record, but then you weren't really happy with what you did, so you went back and smashed it again. Is that the? Do you think that side of you is always going to be there? Is that the side of you that makes you so accomplished at the sport?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. There's always that component of pushing myself. But I think that's also like important to understand what my reason is, or what my goal is, because it's always, well, I think it's important, rather, that it needs to be about my personal goal. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
there to really beat the next person. Like I'm there to do my best, and push myself in that way, because you can never control what other people do, but you can only hope that other people are doing the same, to help themselves feel that fulfillment. So I think that's really always been a really important goal of mine, is not to worry about other people. I'm not there for that. I'm there to get my goals, and try to do the best that I can do, and then hopefully be able to inspire other people to find that also within themselves. And that approach, keeping that in mind, has been a really, I think, healthy way for me to continue jumping rope, and be able to compete as I've gone.
I love how you utilize like intrinsic motivation. You're not looking to external like, oh, I want to beat her because she beat me last. You're thinking, how
Mm-hmm.
can I challenge myself? What do I personally want to accomplish? Not, oh well, I just want to beat them because and it's like intrinsic goals are so much better in my opinion than external
Yeah.
motivation. Do you have a sort of mindset ritual Because when you know you're going in and you're going to have to do 6 minutes of triple unders, or you're going into high stake competition, how
Yeah.
on earth do you get yourself ready for that? Because the thought of it is terrifying.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
To be honest, I don't think about that. I'm not like, oh man, here we go, 6 minutes. That's not at all in my mind. First of all, it starts with training, so you never want to approach a competition feeling underprepared. I mean, I've done that before, and that's a horrible feeling. So it really starts from those hours and months and years even spent in the gym training to prepare yourself as best as you possibly can. And then there's a bit of component of like, once you're there, whether or not you feel that you are prepared or not, you're there. And so you got to take, the best advantage of the situation. And, different things can happen. I've been at competitions where I get really sick, or, my rope breaks on the floor, and that's really unnerving, and things happen. So you just try to prepare yourself the best that you possibly can leading up to that, so that whatever goes wrong that day, you can feel like you can handle it confidently, or kind of tackle whatever that challenge is. And sometimes it makes it more fun, because like knowing all of what you put into that journey and all that work that you put in, hopefully you're getting a positive result. You're doing the best that you could have done. And that's a really, really rewarding process, because the other end of that, feeling like you didn't give it your all on the floor, or leaving a competition really feeling like it wasn't the best that you could do, that's really not a good feeling. It's lasting, and I want to try to avoid that at all costs. So I'm not really thinking about how difficult this is about to be. I'm just thinking about, let's do the best that we possibly can. Let's take advantage of the moment that I have, because I won't have this moment again. And hopefully I've done everything that I can leading up to this moment, and then enjoy it. Like, it's going to be hard. I already know that. So let me just enjoy this part of life where there's a struggle, and let's see what happens.
It's time for a quick break. There are millions of potential products to buy, so how do you know which ones are worth your hard-earned money? Simple. You go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and explore those that will transform and improve your life. You'll find deals, listener exclusives, and special offers with some great companies. Recommendations are 100% honest and only on items Ian has tried or believes in. The companies showcased will make you a better man in all areas of your life. Simply go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and level up.
No, it's a great way. I mean, a lot of top performers, I find, they feel the fear. A lot of them name it, and say, "Ah, not today, Thomas," or whatever. Because by naming the emotion, it doesn't really have the power over you. So then they just go, "Ah, well,
Cool.
it's here anyway. I'm gonna go do it anyway." And like you're saying, it's the intrinsic. I want to go and achieve what I want. I want to give my all. I'm not worrying about what they do. I can't control what they're doing, so I'm going to do it. So how are these competitions like scheduled? Because you seem to. There's a video of you doing, is it triple unders, and you can't even see the rope. You're moving it that fast. Then there's ones where you're doing tricks and things like that. How are competitions set up? How are they graded? Are these sort of worldwide?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So since social media has really exploded the last couple of years, like obviously there haven't been a lot of in-person jump rope competitions. So there's not a lot of that I've been able to really show on my social media, which I'm hoping to be able to do over the next year or two, is show more of that component of things so that people can see it. But yeah, we have multiple events within a single competition, and that's how people can win multiple world titles, right? It's like track or swimming, where you can compete in the 400, the 800, the 16. It's the same in jump rope. So we have 30 seconds of speed, so it's as fast as you can. We have 3 minutes. We have the triple unders. Sometimes we have the double unders. We have those solo events, but we also have 2-person, 3-person, 4-person events. Double Dutch is another huge component of what we do. So that's the 2 people turning 2 ropes and then someone in the middle. So we do speed jumping with this. We have freestyle events where it's like all the crazy skills that you can do. And then we also have that, solo, duo, 4 people, double Dutch. So there's all types of different events. We always say that there's something for everyone in jump rope, whether you want to actually jump, whether you want to turn, whether you want to do solo, whether you want to do team. There's really always a way that anyone for any reason can get involved or wants to get involved. But But yeah, so we have our international federation, International Jump Rope Union. IJRU.sport is the website, and there's loads of information there about national governing bodies. And, if you're interested in getting into competitive jump rope, look for that national federation within your own country. And, there's local clubs that fall under that. I know, like, I grew up in West Virginia, so I grew up on a jump rope team there. We started a jump rope team at Ohio State, my university. So there's all kinds of jump rope programs. And if you don't have one in your area, I mean, there's a really good opportunity to start one, or just, start following the tutorials like I was saying earlier, to kind of get started and see if it's something that you want to pursue.
No, it's awesome. And I love how there's a wide variety of it, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
different skills and avenues to compete to it. Do you have a preference, and do you prefer individual to, multi-team sports?
I mean, it's real, like, the best part of jump rope is sharing it with other people. So double dutch is always one of the most fun events. It really is, because, there's so many more things that you can do, because there's 3 people, sometimes 4 people, and there's 2 ropes. So that means you're not always having to hold physically a jump rope. So that opens a whole other avenue for skills that you can involve while jumping, or vice versa. You don't always have to be jumping off the ground. So you can be holding a jump rope, but not have to actually leave the ground. And so that's a whole other variety of skills. And then when you have 3 people and these 2 ropes, there's just so much explosion for creativity. And it's just really fun to be able to share that with your teammates. And of course, in the competition setting, when you've spent hours and years in the gym together, being able to share those moments on the floor are extra special, because these are really like your closest friends that everything about one another.
And you've got to trust each other if you're whipping
Yeah,
blasting
exactly.
each other.
Exactly. Lots of trust.
Because when you see it, you're kind of watching it going, how on earth do they plan? It just seems like limbs flying, body, but you can see the control in it as well.
Yeah.
And I love in one of your videos you talk about like experiencing the small wins, focusing on the small gains of improving yourself as you go. Yeah, how would you advise somebody to use that method as they're learning, like to a complete newbie, somebody that's jumped rope for the first time? How can we
Yeah.
utilize the small wins philosophy for
Yeah.
success?
The small win philosophy. Well, I think we experience that in all aspects of our life. We went through school. You didn't start from kindergarten and go to 12th grade, right? You had to go
I hope
through
not.
all of these. Yeah, that would be really impressive. But the same thing happens in jump rope. Like, you have to graduate onto the next skill. So it's really progressive. So yeah, I think it's about not, biting off more than you can chew. And that's where I was saying, when you first pick up a jump rope, the first thing you should not be doing is a double under. And a lot of people, especially in like CrossFit, they pick up a rope and they're like, we gotta do double unders today. It's like, wait a second. There's all of these other things that you can learn, so that when you approach the double under, you're going to be successful and it's going to go really well. And, that's just part of jump rope. So I think, yeah, like focusing on those small technique points, really going through tutorials. I have loads of those for beginners to follow along. That's always like the best way to start.
I mean, it's certainly a lot of like trial and error. I noticed like when I started skipping, or
Yeah.
jumping, it was that kind of, you catch your feet, you're a bit sore. How do you build your kind of, not just so much your mind, but how do you build your body to recover from this?
Mhm.
Because I mean, do you,
Yeah.
like you're saying earlier, is it short, sharp bursts of it? Do you strengthen your legs? Do you strengthen your hips, your knees for the impact? Like to get used to jumping up and down so much? What else do you do? Like,
Yeah.
do you use weights, etc.?
Well, I'm going to back up 1 second. You made a really good point about like kind of these little failures. And I see failures as actually really positive things. So whenever I say that, I actually look at it really positive. And jump rope is like, you're going to have lots of failures.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually a really great tool teacher, especially for kids to learn, like, yeah, okay, you messed up, do it again. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
You have no choice. Like, you
Well,
didn't
you're gonna
go
have
well,
to
let's do
learn
it
from
again.
it.
Yeah, like that's how
Because
you're going to
it's
learn.
sore.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's actually really great of a learning tool for this type of mindset through all of life, jump rope or not, because we do have so many skills and they do work progressively, and you're not going to get it first try. I fail all the time. And that's kind of what I'm trying to show on my Instagram when I post those fail videos is, yeah, here's my result. I got this video. I'm really proud of this video, but here's the behind the scenes of everything that led to this moment. And I was rolling on the floor. I was tripping. I was falling. I was making lots of mistakes. Sometimes getting injured, which I try to avoid, but it can happen. And that's just a part of life. So what do I do from that is I analyze, well, where was my weakness and how can I improve that? And I think that's where kind of the strengthening component comes into, like, especially from the competition side, I'm working a lot on getting stronger. So that's a lot, of cross training. So I'm doing a lot of kind of similar to what CrossFitters do at a different type of level, obviously, but really focused on like what I'm needing to get from that extra power, that extra strength when it comes to the fast twitch, but also the explosiveness through my legs. And I'm not so focused on, any type of push pull within my upper body. It's more about stabilization and core stability. So that's where a lot of my focus within exercising is going to be. And then there's always that balance between, staying springy with jump rope, because you want to have that springiness within your muscles, but also a bit of flexibility, because I want to be able to do some skills that require flexibility, whether that's back handsprings or back bends or splits, these types of skills. So it's always kind of finding that balance when it comes to training, of not overdoing the muscle so it's too tight, and keeping that flexibility in it as well to reduce injury.
I love it, like how you just make it sound so easy, but it's enthusiasm. Yeah. Do you
It's not
think
easy.
do you think it helped that you started when you were younger? Because as a kid, you don't realize it's fun. You don't realize how
Mhm.
off-putting, like maybe learning to backflip or skipping might be as an adult. You had that fun. It was fun rather than scary.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, that's not to say that there weren't skills that scared me. Like when I first started doing a backflip, I was very scared. It took a lot of fight to get through that, and that was actually a big part of my jump rope journey, was like getting over that fear. And that's a very normal thing. And there were other skills that also have been very scary and still are, especially as you get into the more advanced jump rope skills. They become riskier. You're doing harder things. There are more ways that you can mess up and get seriously injured. So I would say that fear never ends, as far as challenging yourself to do something more difficult. I mean, as far as when I was starting it as a little kid, I just feel super lucky that I found it that early in life. I think even if I were older and had found it, I would have still fallen in love with it just like I did. And I always try to go back to that feeling of when I first saw jump rope when I was a little girl, and that's a huge part of what keeps me going today. Because believe me, there are times when I do not love jump rope. Like, I've been in the gym, I've been frustrated, things weren't going well, I wasn't getting skills, and I went through periods where I wasn't getting better or faster. And you know, that's very normal. That's a normal, like, kind of relationship that can happen. But ultimately, I always go back to that feeling of when I first saw jump rope and I first fell in love with it, and what is that to me, and try to get back to jump rope and find that love again within the activity. So I just feel more lucky that I found it when I was a little kid. I think there are actually a lot of advantages of coming into it later, because a lot of, especially the adults that I see pick up jump ropes, they have really a unique insight into skills and creativity, because within the sport, we're so stuck on how we progress through a jump rope program. You went from A to B to C, and all these skills progressed, and this is how you did it, which is great because it gets people to a certain level. That's really the technical aspect of the sport. But when someone's older and maybe they were in dance or they were in other sports, they're bringing all of that experience of their movements into this new activity. And so it's kind of a fresh take on jump rope. So I really love to see adults or older kids pick up ropes and see what they do with it, how they choose to move the rope, because it will be unique, it will be their style. And I always think it's really fun to see how they bring that into using the rope.
Because I love how, like, you look such a natural on camera, but to know that, like, even somebody who's done this for years, who's an ambassador, world champion multiple times, you still feel that fear and you go and do it. And you've done videos with like rugby players like Holly Holmes. Yeah, you've done all these amazing videos, and you look such a natural. You look so confident. You're doing their workout. You're introducing them. You look like you're a natural on camera. And to know that you still feel that fear is it's probably going to be reassuring to a lot of people who are kind of taking up the sport and get into, that learning curve where they think, I'm just no good at this. I can't go any further. To know a superstar in the sport still gets like that, it's probably so reassuring to them. I mean, you were doing I can't remember the actual competition, but you were learning to jump rope while it's on fire, and you gave yourself, was it third degree burns?
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
that would have put a lot of people off. You went ahead, got back on the horse, so to speak, and then set as many ropes on fire as you possibly could to get into it. How on earth do you just think? Does the fun of it take back over? Does the competitiveness that I want to achieve this? How did you reset and recalibrate yourself after something that could potentially put a lot of people off if it happened to them?
Yeah, whew, that's I mean that's tough to answer because I wasn't hung up on that. Like that wasn't where my thought was. The thought was, well, first of all, I made a mistake, so I need to do better to not mess
You
up
whip
like that.
yourself with fire and it's
Yeah,
aqua.
that's my mistake.
Don't do that
I
again.
should. So I need to be better. I need to practice more, or just have been focused on a different area better. So I more of just sat and reevaluated what do I need to change.
Hmm.
Um, I was never really stuck on, oh, I'm not going to do that again. I think that's a large part of wanting to fulfill something. Like I had this image, this creation that I wanted to make, and I wanted to find a way to create that and that experience. So when I wasn't able to do that because of my mistake or messing up or injury, then I wanted to find a way to be able to come back and make that happen, if that makes sense. So I wasn't really hung up on that or injuries in general. I don't think they happen to prevent you from doing it necessarily. I think they happen to show you how to approach it differently, or how to problem solve or still get your goal. It doesn't mean your goal has to change. It just means that maybe you need to find a different way to get there. It's like going through a maze, right? Maybe that direction is a dead end, and maybe you need to reevaluate, turn around, and go a different way. But that doesn't mean that you can't get to the end of the maze.
Hmm. That's a brilliant answer. And do you feel that fear when you're going on to Ellen, when you're going in to talk to kids? Does it appear, or is it because does your passion for
Mm.
the sport overtake it? Do you find like having to speak in front of an audience is scary, or are you just becoming so used to it with the competitions now? Have you found a way to deal
Mhm.
with that pressure?
I mean, I think there's always going to be a bit of nerves, but also excitement when it comes to things like this. I think that's actually really important that I get nervous for things like this, because to me that means it matters.
Yeah.
Like what I'm about to do in front of these people, or say, or present, or even just talking in front of the kids, this matters. And so I really want it to be. I think I get nervous because I want it to go really well. Like I want it to be a good experience for them, and that's
Mm.
actually a really good thing. So sometimes when you get nervous and you think, oh, I want it to go away, I think it's better to embrace that and use that, and bring it out in terms of the excitement that you want to get through to people or the passion that you want to share with them. So, yes, going on Ellen, I was incredibly nervous, but I was
I'm
also
not
really
surprised.
excited. Yeah, yeah, of course. But I was also just really excited. I was excited to get to share what I love to do. I was excited to meet this person. I was excited to be in front of the audience and show jump rope to more people. Even if I'm going into a talk or a school show or anything like this, I might be nervous, but I'm really excited for that opportunity. And I feel really lucky to be able to be in that position where I can do what I love each and every day and reach different people because of it.
So, like, does that come across in the same way when you're doing, say, like the triple under competitions, while while
Mm.
your body's on fire, your muscles are aching? What keeps you going again? Is it going back to the intrinsic motivation? That you have a goal, that you have a dream that you want to
Yeah.
achieve. You're not really caring what anybody else is doing. You're just dialed in on what you want to achieve. The same way you are when you go out, you want to give a good performance, a good representation of the sport.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty fair that it's kind of the same mentality, but then more intrinsic. So it's for myself. So in that moment, it's more about let's see what I can do today. Let's see how I'm gonna to solve through this or fight through this or what I'm capable of. And it's really, intrinsically based in that way.
It's hard just watching it, but to imagine what you're going through, and you do it for like 6-10 minutes, then you're doing multiple competition. It's you do such phenomenal things, and you're like, you don't look like you've barely broke a sweat, and that's what I love
That's
about
nice
it.
to hear. That's super nice to hear.
Because
I'm dying inside.
because when you're watching on your competitions, and I think you just come on, you done some backflips, and people are like, "Whoa, she just skipped with a rope on fire," and you're like, "Just wait." It's like you could see that moment. You loved the fact that you were inspiring so many people.
Mhm.
But how do you build yourself? Like, how do you eat? Like, what habits have you built in? Diet, supplements, things like that. How do you keep in such great shape to be able to keep positive, keep motivated, especially with all the traveling, competitions,
Mhm.
etc. you do?
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie, it's hard. Traveling so much, it's hard to keep a routine to follow. This is a really difficult part of life, actually. And with that, staying healthy, because we need routines to help keep us healthy.
Mm.
So this is a really difficult and constant battle, as is when you're performing and you're in a show that you're doing so many times a week and you're exhausted, you're wearing your body. It's really important to be paying attention closely to how your body's feeling, things that you might need to work on or strengthen. This is really, really an important component because you want to be able to work. So you want to prevent injuries as much as possible. So it's really kind of a constant battle. I do prioritize nutrition and eating well. I prioritize stretching and rolling out and foam rolling and making sure that I'm doing the PT things that I need. And I share a lot of that on my Instagram as far as like things that I do to help keep my shins strong, my calves strong, but also loose. I have put a lot of that on Instagram or on YouTube as well, as far as like my routine when I warm up. And a lot of that is also keeping the same routine. So no matter what country I'm in or what time I'm doing a show or anything like this, I have my warm up routine. And this is kind of a way that I can
You sort of switch on to.
Yeah, switch on to what I'm about to do, dial into the focus on my show, on my performance, and disregard maybe the different stage or the different environment that I'm in and be able to still produce something strong, because there are a lot of components, even in competition, that come into play. Your bed's different. Like I'm traveling around a lot, whether it's hotels, whether it's the apartments that I'm living in, whether it's before competition, just something so small as like the bed that you're sleeping in is different, and this can change how you wake up. This can change your day. So I think finding these routines that you can travel with you is actually really, really important. So I have my tools that I use. Like I have my head earbuds that I put in, and I listen to my warm-up song, and I go through my exercises. I have my foam rolls that I use. I have my my toe spacer products that I'm always using for rehab things. Keeping these routines, as far as I wake up and I drink a glass of water. I wake up and I read something on my phone. Just these little things that I can do no matter where I am has actually become really important as far as staying kind of grounded as far like in location, if that makes sense.
No, it's. I love how sort of
Yeah,
analytical you are, because it's like creating a home away from a home.
yeah,
It's like you have this set up so that no matter where you are, you can be centered. You can find who you are and just go in and do your best. Because
yeah.
I was thinking it must be a nightmare changing time zones and traveling, and you're off to competition when you were doing Cirque du Soleil, even I can't pronounce today. You were doing all these amazing things, and it's like, how do you just
Mhm.
stay centered as a person? How do you get used to it? Because how do it's bad enough explaining to somebody why you've got whip marks on your shins and things like that.
Yes, actually, yes.
So I mean, it's
Um,
like, does it toughen up at all?
I mean, if you recently this summer, I was in a show, and it was I was doing a lot of new things in the show. So it wasn't just jump rope. I was a whole character. I was moving constantly. It was really high energy and really nonstop. And the stage had a lot of different levels. And I was doing this thing in the show. I didn't even notice it, but I bruised my legs really, really bad. I was doing it every day, so the bruises weren't going away. And I made a video because I was trying to avoid videos because the bruises were so bad, but it was summer and like I had the shorts on. And of course, in this video, like you can see the bruises. I got so many comments. I was like, don't worry, it's just like part of it and part of the journey. And that's just something that kind of happened. And it's just what sometimes happens. And
It's hard to explain into it. I mean, when
it's
you
hard to
start
explain.
jujitsu, you get like grip marks where people will put like grab hold of your arms and stuff like
Yes.
that, and you see all the bruises where they put pressure in. It's the same with your legs, and you
Mhm.
don't want to wear shorts. People think something's wrong, something's happening
Yep.
to you, and it's like it's okay. Just in a cup. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll explain later. It's do you find that the best part of it? That kind of that fun, that community of it. Like are you
Yeah.
still do you still do Cirque du Soleil and all these sort of things?
Yeah, I mean, I feel really lucky that I have this amazing community that cares this much about me. That's first of all really nice. So it's really sweet that people check in on me and give me the, or even whenever I'm working, like this summer, this year, I've been working so much more because things have opened, which is great. I get to perform, do what I love, but I've had to cut down on some of the videos that I was doing, and I get messages from people that are missing this and this is never I never expected that. And so I feel really lucky that there are people that do miss my videos and want to
Mhm.
see more of that. So I do feel a kind of a sense of I feel this need to sometimes create more to help them keep going as well. Or the people that have messaged me that said they are now picking up and jumping rope and they've been doing this now for a year or two because of just seeing my page. This is so cool that I have the opportunity to hopefully help people in really positive ways. So I think these are the things that really keep you going when you're tired, or I get those rope whip marks and nothing's going right with the jump rope, but
Mm.
there's other people that are feeling things are going right with the jump rope, and this is really really cool part of the community. I love all of them. Thank you guys for supporting me and letting me do what
A
I
lot
love, so you guys can feel it too.
because your videos are very Moorish. You watch one and you think, I'll watch another. Before you know it, you've watched half your catalogue, and it's. I can see why, and you draw people in with your fun, with the how motivational and inspiring you are, and how you even can teach people such mind blowing tricks and stuff. And I
Mm,
think also bringing in like again Holy Holmes and all these sort of people. You're sort of showing other people how they can incorporate it into their sport, how they can
mhm.
build it into part of their thing. Do you think cross training, like you were talking about earlier, is a great thing that all athletes should be doing jump rope in some sort of method?
Oh yeah, that's really great. I mean, I grew up. I always jumped rope, but I also played soccer. I football. I ran track. I ran cross country. I did a lot of other sports, and
Mm,
this jump rope always helped. Like I always found myself kind of an advantage in those sports, whether it was cardio, endurance wise, whether it was just coordination, because jump rope really teaches both sides, right and left. So in football, I was really good at kicking with my left as well, and as well as my right. And this is really cool. So I think it's really helpful when it comes to teaching coordination and full body control and um, kind of that physical literacy. And so I really love these athlete collabs, with Billy Meeks, the rugby player. It was so cool because he was really quite good at jump rope and the sport translated quite well. And he said that they use jump rope as training. Same with Holly. Like she is quite good at jump rope because she uses that as training and it goes
mm.
directly into her sport, which is really, really cool.
I loved how, like, while you're watching the videos, some of them are like really surprised at how good your skills were, like how
Yeah.
you were hitting the mitts well, how you were throwing the ball, and they were like, what? And you can see how just that skill sets from your competitions, etc., passes on to other
Yeah.
sports. And
Yeah.
I know there'll be so many athletes thinking, I need to try this. This looks awesome.
Mhm.
So if we had to sort of sell it, which I don't think you're going to have to, because I know there's so many people just now listening, how do you want them to start? What would you say to somebody on the fence just now if you had to sell jump rope to them? What would you
Oh my
say?
gosh. I mean, at the top of everything for me is always the joy of challenging yourself, the joy of learning something new, the joy of being able to find fun in an exercise. So to me,
Mm,
I think the best selling point to jump rope is the joy that it brings to people, and how you feel that joy is unique to each person. So whether it's jump rope helps your sport that isn't jump rope, that's a joy. That's a positive thing that it can bring to your life, whether it helps improve your physical fitness or being able to go longer, or you love, just jumping to music in the gym, and that's the joy that you find, or whether you love to jump rope with your little one, or share that with other kids, or jump rope with other people. Like, I think no matter what you're looking for, joy is at the top of that, and that can be different for everybody, but ultimately that's what it comes down to. So pick up a rope and find that joy, or even the joy of just challenging yourself. Like, it's going to be hard, but you're going to feel it when you finally get that skill that you've been working on.
Because you've built this juggernaut of a channel, you're changing, inspiring so many people to take part. You're showing how it can be utilized in different sports. But has there been a favorite collab that you've done? Like any particular one that blows you away? Maybe, I don't know how you want to answer that for future ones. And B, how do you want to grow your channel? How do you want to continue this like selling of the sport, to encouraging people to get in, to becoming a global ambassador for it? How would you like it to carry on, as well as winning the 32nd, 33rd, 34th, etc. competitions?
Well, those are two hefty questions. So collab wise, so on my torqueropes.com website, I actually have a little blog. I don't know if I probably need to promote it more, where I kind of talk about each of the collabs that I've done on YouTube and the experience and what it was like working with that athlete. I really loved meeting Holly Holm because she's been a huge inspiration to me. So that in itself was just a dream, to be able to collab with her, meet up, jump rope with her. She was the sweetest, and we had really such a fun time. Like, we didn't want to stop during the shoot.
I'd love to get her on the show. She looked
yeah. She's really, that is an athlete to be inspired by, and I love what a strong woman she is. So this was a huge thing because I had been a huge fan of her for a while. I also really loved collaborating with Chloe Bruce. She's a martial artist from the UK, because. And I
Is that the one with the thumbnail
online.
with the leg just like that?
Yes.
Like straight up.
She is incredible. She is one of the sweetest people, and her talent is just amazing. And she has such a good attitude and mentality. And I was looking forward to that session with her because I'd been following her on social media for a while, and I just thought she was so cool. But then meeting her in person and how the interaction went, it was really like, she made me, when I left, I felt so inspired. I think it takes really special people to be able to do that. So I really love this collab. All of them have been so good. I really enjoyed working with Billy, the rugby guy, because he was just so down to earth and just like really cool to work with. Really fun person.
Well, maybe
expand
really it. Cool too. How would you, anyone that you would like to collaborate with that you haven't yet?
Oh, there's also so many of those. Havthor Bjornsson, the strongman.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I really want to jump rope. He jumps rope. That's the thing, is I know he jumps, and I know he's quite good. And so I would love to collab with him. I think it would be really fun. I think it'd be really funny. I think we could both learn a lot of moves together. So that's definitely a goal that I want to make happen. Do you have any pull there? You got the connection.
I think I will try to set that. Okay. And how, before you take on the mountains and win, how do you want to expand your brand? How do you want to take this further? Is it just going to be a side hustle that you enjoy doing, or are you going to use this now as the goal to inspire all the little kids who maybe are thinking they want to get a sport, but they're not sure what's for them? You're going to inspire people to get back into shape and things like that. What's the overall goal for you, do you think? I know it's a big question, but
the overall goal is to I do it because I love it. And ultimately, like, as much as I love helping other people jump rope and everything, like, ultimately it's what brings me joy. So leading with that, that's always the goal, is to be happy and do what I love and what makes me happy. It's like the large picture goal is to always just keep inspiring people. How I do that is kind of those questions. And I do have some projects up my sleeve that I'm like not quite ready to talk about, but I'm kind of constantly creating and following different routes and hopefully making new ways and to reach new people and innovate that way. And that's really exciting. It can be really scary, but also makes it really fun. And in the end, with the result, it always makes it really worth it because I know the journey that it took to get there. So I'm just excited to keep bringing jump rope to new people.
Well, you're definitely one of those people you mentioned earlier where you said, there's special people who inspire and motivate. I mean, I could listen to you talk for hours. You've got me smiling. You've got me wanting to try it. I'm so glad we made the connection. I mean, I know it's been an hour and I can't believe it feels like 5 minutes.
Oh,
but
wow. Okay.
Until we can get around 2 in and get you involved in other stuff and as well. What do you want people to take from this? What do you want them to remember or to think about or do from this interview?
Well, first and foremost, pick up a jump rope. Everybody, pick up a jump rope.
Torquerope.com.
Torquerope.com. Go there now, and then go to the YouTube and follow all my instructions. I mean, okay, maybe jump rope isn't your thing. So I hope that you can find ways that you find that enjoyment or joy in whatever it is that you do or whatever is going to inspire you. And if you haven't found that, I would encourage you to keep looking or don't give up on that because it's out there. And I found it in jump rope, but there's a number of other ways that it can manifest to bring that positivity to your life as well.
I love it. I love how you're so passionate about it, and there's so much there. Like your channel is a godsend for anybody wanting to learn. There's such amazing things you do, and you're kicking ass, you're taking names, but you're having fun with a smile. Keep doing you because you're encouraging so many people and achieving so much. But for people who want to find you, who want to follow you on social media, buy a rope preferably, how do we keep track of you? How do we find you on social media, on Instagram, your website, etc.?
Yeah, Instagram, my name is SnoriB, SNORIB. Okay, quick little story about that. I did not snore growing up, but my parents got me a pillow that said Snorri on it. So it's like snoring plus Tori, Snorri. And I was in this like interview that all my friends saw, and in the background, I was being interviewed in front of the pillow. So everyone started calling me Snorri. So then when I made my Instagram, I made it SnoriB. So Tori Boggs is the B. And it just kind of grew. And then I didn't expect my Instagram to take off. And as it did, I was like, well, it's a little late to like change my name on here. So I kept Snorri because it's just nostalgic and it's really fun. And it's
there's nothing
nice
wrong with snoring.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with snoring. That's all I'm saying.
My ex would have murdered me, but we'll go into that.
Snores are fine too. But yeah, that's where that came from. SnoriB. Then like TikTok, I'm Tori Boggs. Facebook, Tori Boggs. Like ToriBoggs.com. You can find me there. Jump ropes, torqueropes.com. I mean, there's a whole other branding story behind that, but you'll get to that from my Instagram as well. And then I'm really excited for my YouTube channel because I'm posting a lot of longer videos there where I go through explanations and workouts and skill tutorials. So you'll find me there under Tori Boggs as well.
Well, that's it for another week. And thank you for listening. It's now time to take what you've learned and use it to develop and enhance your life with the key points mentioned. Listen, try it, embrace it, use it, and crush it. Now's your time to hit that next level in your life. If you liked this episode, then please leave a comment on the show notes or a review of the show on your podcast platform. Everything helps evolve the show. Until next week, keep seeking the next level in your life.